is what DC was doing. You take all these great properties and see what you can do to destroy it. I mean, come on, bro, and at a fast pace. You do it at a quick pace, man. DC.
Hey, Indigo made the beat.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Heroes Peak podcast. I am your host, Chris, and we're here to talk about culture, entertainment, and whatever the hell we feel like. And with me today, I have a whole string of wonderful guests. We're going to start with the man in the mirror, Mike. How you doing, Mike?
Pretty good. Interrupted my Maple Leafs to come join the pod, so.
Hockey. Like, this is America, Mike. Nobody cares about hockey.
Oh, yeah? You sure about that?
I'm sure about that.
Yeah.
Also with us
sure.
today,
Pretty sure.
we have a fan of the second most popular sport in the United States. It's Keith. How you doing, Keith? How's those finals going?
How's what?
How's the finals going?
We're not even out of the second round.
It's still the finals. It's all the finals. It's the playoffs.
Finals of the second round.
Playoffs.
Like the final game today?
The playoffs.
It's still a ways to go, but it's been a pretty exciting. It's been pretty exciting so far. But yeah, good people. Nice to see you. Be with you again.
And our resident Golden State Warriors fan is James. How you doing?
I'm actually rooting for my Rangers right now. I know they have no shot out of the Atlantic Division. It's terrible. But yeah, I'm rooting for the Rangers.
And we have a new guest on today. It's Uncle Freezy. How you doing?
I'm good, brother.
Welcome to the pod. It's good to have a new voice on here. I'm sick of telling these guys they're wrong. Maybe you'll be right.
Maybe. I hope so. I hope so, man.
All right. So first up today, we're going to do a watch of the new Kenobi trailer. Speaking of, May the 4th be with you. Today is actually the 4th.
And also with you.
And yes, thank you to my people who grew up
Give them
Catholic.
praise.
They know
Give the Force praise.
They know the proper
yeah, you know
response. So yeah, we're gonna watch the Kenobi trailer. Don't be afraid to comment as we watch, because that's the only way we can actually play the audio. Go ahead, Mike. Kick it off. So if you haven't watched the trailer, I was surprised at how intense this trailer is.
They're coming.
It's like a movie trailer, not even a show trailer.
Right? The villains are like real intense, like a lot more than in previous shows.
Leave us alone. When the time comes, he must be trained.
He must be trained.
Like you trained his father.
Oh, burn! Like he trained his father.
That's right. Man.
You still want Kenobi.
So is this going to be another one like Moon Knight that is really carried by an amazing star performance, or do we think we're going to have better...
film behind green screen.
I want every lowlife and bounty hunter to squeeze
Who
in.
is this? Is that...
Oh, Krav Maga! Obi-Wan got some Krav Maga!
What the hell is that? Where'd that come from?
Judo.
He taking lessons?
Well, he can't show that he has the powers of the Force.
Was that Kingo from Eternals? Did I miss?
Yeah, it is. Same actor. And that's what everyone's been waiting for.
Did
Vader.
he really just put a battery in his back?
Yeah, he really did put a battery in his back.
Yeah.
Renewable energy, buddy.
That's right. We're all going to have batteries according to Elon Musk, right? So we're only going to be able to communicate on Twitter to each other.
So people are all excited about the little Vader tease at the end, right?
Yeah. nerd orgasms everywhere.
It looks good.
Yeah,
It looks
some-
like there's going to be a lot of action in it, so I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it's only 6 episodes, so
Yeah.
Well,
a lot to cram
okay.
in.
So my question to you guys is, which episode are we going to switch over to watch Baby Groot's birth
Probably the finale.
instead of the finale?
Post credit scene will be the birth of Grogu. For 50 years, if you do the math, probably not. He's probably already. Yeah, he already left the Jedi Academy.
Yeah, he's already born, but we're going to have a memory
Yeah, he's already
flashback.
born.
Somebody.
Star Wars is hottest selling toy right now. You gotta put him in somewhere in the
I'll
show.
get him in there. Somebody's gonna be wearing some merch. That would be the best. Somebody walk in the background with baby Grogu merch.
Some Game of Thrones shit.
Yo, so JV, yo.
So, question. No, seriously, when is this coming out?
I think
27th.
May 27th. Yeah,
Okay.
Wait. Oh,
same day as Top Gun. Yeah.
Jesus.
It's on the Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Friday.
Yeah, this Disney Plus. No wonder I can't get rid of this streaming service, man. Like every week, there's something new for me to watch. Maybe Netflix should grab some of those Disney executives and get some lessons.
Or DC, but that's a conversation another
That's a
day.
whole nother-
Yeah.
Hey, DC did one good show. It was good all the way through. They released it weekly, and then they just didn't do anything after that.
And that was it.
That was all they had. They're like, shit.
Yo, why do you guys keep beating up DC?
They deserve
DC
it,
is
man.
who they are. Let them be who it is that they are.
They deserve the beating.
Yeah, and so for all these years, they used to beat up themselves. Like who bullies themselves, right? This is what DC was doing. You take all these great properties and see what you can do to destroy it. Come on, bro. And at a fast pace, you do it at a quick pace, man. DC had such a head start over everybody, right? And so, yeah, man.
Yeah, when
They literally destroyed Superman.
So basically, like the comics
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
I mean, when Arrow hit, remember the first season of Arrow? Everybody was freaking
Yeah, on CW.
out how awesome, how DC was back. DC was gonna take over, and
that's the product they should make. It's a profitable product.
it was, but
That-
they
I feel
they
like-
just ran
I
it
feel like
into the
that's their
ground
market.
instead of.
Yeah.
You know what?
I watched GoBots when Transformers weren't on. I watched it.
I tell you, so
You know what I'm saying?
when I was working at Apple, right? Apple was the biggest thing in town because of the iPod. The iPod just like launched them into space. And you know what they did to follow up the iPod? Is they replaced their own thing with the iPhone. They didn't wait for someone else to drive their iPod into the ground and to just sell the Zunes until, brown Zunes were taken over. Apple like came up with a new product and released it to overtake their own product. Like that's what Marvel has done. Marvel is nonstop releasing. They're like Disney's like, nope. 6 episodes, we're going on to Kenobi. 6 episodes, we're going to Miss Marvel. 6 episodes, you got a new movie coming out. It's like they have hit their stride and they are not stopping. And DC's like, you like that show? In a couple of years, you're gonna have an Amanda Waller show. And you're like,
I heard that. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a joke.
it could be cool.
Like, no one's asking for these things.
Oh, it's okay. Like I didn't ask for Peacemaker. Peacemaker was better than I thought. But like
Yeah, Peacemaker
it was awesome. But like where's the next step? Like you can't take a step and then stop and like stand there.
All right, we're so off the rails with
Okay.
the Kenobi trailer. But,
Kenobi trailer. Sorry, DC.
no,
fans.
that's good though. That's good. That's good. I started that. My bad. I
That's
should have
all right.
known better.
Speaking.
I like the Kenobi trailer. I'm definitely gonna watch it. I think they're gonna show us. I've heard they're gonna show flashbacks of the Clone Wars of Hayden Christensen reprising his role as Anakin, with Ewan McGregor as Kenobi. Then they're gonna bring us up to probably a couple years before A New Hope, when Obi-Wan finally, goes into the desert of Tatooine and stays there. I think there's a lot of answers that they can fill between the Rebels show and Clone Wars. Then again, it's 6 episodes. Let's say an hour a piece, 6 hours. I don't know how much we'll get, but I have a lot of faith in this show. I think it's going to be probably at the level of Mandalorian, if not better.
Yeah, I think So same
You
way,
getting fooled by the trailer.
the same way I was nailing on DC, Star Wars has kind of been that thing where they kind of hit these brick walls and they haven't been able to like keep us real invested since they weren't like didn't they don't have the whole fan like they're half and half right now.
You're doing better than DC. Don't put them in the DC bucket.
I just
Yeah,
would
DC
like
is atrocious.
yeah, go ahead, Uncle Freezy.
Yeah. So the DC thing. So for one, let me admit I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, and it's not because I'm a Star Wars hater. What happens with me in Star Wars is I'll see a good movie that's compelling, and then it'll be followed up by something that's mid, and then so when the third movie comes out, it's do I go see this Star Wars movie or do I go see um, Captain America Civil War? You make a decision, and so it's like one of those deals where the MCU is dependable. I know at least there is deep character development, and Marvel's not afraid to show you the flaws in a character, right? So because for one, I think what happens in DC is all the characters are so powerful that you don't see vulnerabilities. Like I don't. Okay, so yes, yeah, like Superman can't lose basically. So there is nothing to. It doesn't matter how big the enemy is in the trailer. I know Superman's gonna win, right? I know Superman's gonna win because he's a god amongst men, and right. So while that drives the Batman storyline, I like Batman from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Batman is always preparing himself for the day that Superman loses his marbles and or whatever. But for as far as Superman, like we don't have to watch this for. It's not really compelling to me, right? And so the thing with Star Wars though is I think this may be in their wheelhouse right here, the 6 episode series type where you could explain, you can take um um not patch, but you can take a novice like myself and bring me along and let me find my own way in the Star Wars universe where that I can watch this and then go back to and watch other stuff at my own pace and understand the history of Star Wars. Right? Because like when I used to joke about R2D2, a robot on a wheel track riding in a desert. I've never seen that before. like legit.
We can't even do cars doing that right now. But yeah.
I'm just trying to figure this out in my mind, right? Like, how does this actually?
R2 was the first Range Rover.
Yeah. And so it's small, but like I always felt like the universe is, and not to hijack the topic, but I always felt like the Darth Vader angle is the dopest angle in the villain universe. Like before Darth Vader, the villain was always the villain from the beginning, and Darth Vader is revolutionized how you look at a villain. Like because you can look at Darth Vader and ask yourself, is he really the villain, or is he a victim?
Yeah.
Right? Is he a victim or is he a villain?
Yeah, we've had this very same conversation before.
Yeah, I think
Right.
I think there's a future for us to come back and have a long conversation on Star Wars and the roots of Star Wars and all of that. But I know tonight we don't have the time because we want to talk about movie night.
No.
But yeah, happy May the 4th to everybody, and I think
So
we'll
just,
definitely be coming back and talking about Kenobi when it hits. So.
Yeah. So just a quick note though. I mean, originally Obi-Wan was supposed to be a movie. So, but after Solo did so bad that they changed plans and then they handed it over to Filoni and John Favreau, right, to turn into a miniseries.
It goes back to Uncle Freezy's point. Rogue One was probably the movie that you went into movie theaters and say, "Wow, I could really dig this."
Mm-hmm.
Then Solo comes out and you're like, "Oh shit."
That's exactly what happened.
So Star Wars, the intelligentsia pivoted like, "Oh shit." So we didn't hit that second base home run.
Right.
All right, let's pivot on Kenobi. Let's figure out how we're going to still get it out there in content. And then Disney Plus came out with the avenue became evident to them. Hey, let's put this on track with the Mandalorians and the Boba Fett's. Because it looks like it was a movie. Like, it looks like it was scripted already as a movie.
Yeah.
They just needed to now cut it and edit it so that it could make more sense across a miniseries or whatever you want to
It's
call it.
actually interesting. Another side of the conversation interesting to talk about would be the difference between Star Wars, the people who control the Star Wars release, and the MCU release. How, like, the center of phase 2 of the MCU was not really as successful as I think everybody would have hoped, and yet they soldiered on and they found their Captain America Civil War and their
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Winter Soldier in that area when everybody was like, what's this Thor, what's this Iron Man 3, these things aren't that great, and they kept going and saying, no, you'll go with us, we'll get there.
You'll get
and
it.
So Star Wars, after releasing Solo, it didn't do great, but if they had gone, no guys, stick with us, we're gonna do a Obi-Wan and you're gonna love it, and it would look like this, I think they could have been more consistent if they had been more assured of themselves from the top down. But they balked at the mildest criticism, and
I agree
a
with you on that one, Chris.
slightly reduced box office. Whereas you saw that with Marvel and Feige, again, the architect here was able to go, just hold your horses. We'll get them there, and people will come back around. And in a dozen movies, they'll be like, oh, Thor: Dark World was important. Oh, like, we just got to get through this little bumpy road. So I'm glad we're getting a good series, but there's a conversation.
Well, they haven't forgotten on movies. There are still movies in development, including that Kevin Feige movie, right? Star Wars movie. So it's coming.
Right, and then
there's also Patty Jenkins too. Patty Jenkins has a
yeah. But and plus two though, to a point, just real quick. And then in stage 2, there was a promise of something down the road. So during phase 2, we had a sense that we would see either Galactus or Thanos or Kang. You didn't know exactly who in the very beginning, but there was like a vibe that you were building towards something big. You know what I'm saying?
And that's a really
in my mind, and so in my mind, I thought it was Galactus, and then so I'm thinking, like, if they bring in Galactus, that must mean they're trying to buy the Fantastic Four.
You were
so it's like
you were right, but
and so it's like, and so when you build towards that, when you leave like a breadcrumb, like a crumb trail, guys like me that are like geeks for certain stuff, like I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I ain't even gonna hold you. I'm gonna keep it 1,000. I'm gonna keep it real with you. So I'm a nerd in the nerdiest sense of being a nerd. I'm like you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm that guy. I can't help it, right? And so I love the backstories of the interconflict between characters. Like,
have you not watched this podcast before?
Yeah, I have.
He's telling us, the choir.
Yeah,
listen, guys. I don't know what you guys are about, but I'm really into this shit.
Yeah,
I'm like, my son's middle name is Luke because of Luke Skywalker.
Right. Right, and so to the point where, like, when you leave the smallest breadcrumb trail, I'm gonna look into that and try to find out stuff. And it builds my anticipation for the things that are yet to come.
See,
but I didn't get that with Star. I never get that sensation with Star Wars.
I think and this is actually, you just like click something in my head in that I wasn't really putting it together. MCU being brand new is constantly building forward towards something, whether it branches or whatever. Because Star Wars is like living in this saga and we're filling in gaps. It's never building towards something. It's just filling in gaps that are already there that get geeks excited, and maybe you can release a new character and you get a Grogu here and there, but it's not building toward anything, so you can't be excited.
But Chris, I argued with you a while back that in the old books that are now no longer, since Disney bought Star Wars from George Lucas, now they're no longer considered canon. The books for like the last 15 years, they're actually building something like that. They're building not a multiverse, but a large universe of things that had nothing to do with the Skywalker saga, like other aliens coming in. The books did all of that stuff, and eventually, yeah, they still focused on the original Star Wars characters, but to a lesser extent as the books, last 15 years. And then when Disney came in and bought all of the Star Wars IP, they said, enough of these books. We'll pick and choose some of these characters. We'll make video games out of them. And if successful, then we'll bring it back into the the fold again, which is going back to, again, you're minimal, you're small in your world that you have such a large canvas that you can build from. You're hyper focusing on just, the Jedi and the Skywalkers and this particular class of people. But they had it for 10 years. They had books out there that had nothing to do with.
But I mean, you can release 100 books and one movie. Like, that's the problem. Like, when you're gonna make your movie, you have to make your decision. What am I gonna do? So right now, we talk, like I mentioned, the higher ups are taking they're not taking the chance. They're saying, people love Obi-Wan Kenobi. People love Han Solo. People love Boba Fett. So they could have decided to go this High Republic instead of making it a book series. They could have went, hey, we're letting the Skywalker saga go. We're gonna make a High Republic. It's gonna have and they could have done that and taken the chance, but they're not doing that. They're not taking the chance. Even now, when they've made their money back, I understand when you initially purchase the $4 billion for Star Wars, you're like, oh, we got to make our money back.
Which is still so cheap now.
Right, I know.
Yeah, still.
They hit that market before the bubble. But it's like, now is the chance they've taken this break, and now's the chance where the next movie hopefully builds out and doesn't just be like, oh, you know what, there was 10 minutes where you didn't see this in Clone Wars. This is what we're going to focus on. Like, let's hope that they spread out about. Okay, we should move on. We talked about that probably a little longer than Mike wanted.
That's good.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike.
Let's go to break, and when we come back, we will do Moon Knight.
Moon Knight!
Smooth Criminal? Moonwalker?
That's right.
Welcome back, everybody, and we're here to talk about Moon Knight, the 6-episode Disney Plus series, starring Oscar Isaac, Ethan Hawke, and May Calame. Now, there's like a dozen different writers on this, so I'm not going to go through and name all of the writers and directors. Go look it up on IMDb. So we had discussed the first 3 episodes, I think, a month ago. We only like 3 weeks ago. Feels like
3 weeks ago.
But we're gonna talk about the whole the series as a whole here. So if there's anything you want to talk about within the entire thing, we're gonna do that. So these are spoilers, including for the final episode. So if you haven't seen the final episode, go watch it. It's only like 40 minutes. Plus, there is an after credits or mid credit sequence that kind of explains something that you might not understand about the final episode. So go watch that. Don't forget the other part. All right. So why don't we get into this? Where we left off in episode 3 is that Khonshu gets trapped. He shows the night sky from the 1,000 years ago or something like that.
2000, yeah.
Yeah. And so that display of power, because everybody in the MCU universe sees it, and all the humans are like, shit, not again. What the fuck's happened? And so they do that, and he gets trapped. And so now you've got a split where Mark / Steven do not have Khonshu, don't have the powers of Moon Knight. So what do you guys think of seeing that? I think we'll start there. That fun, cool display of power, that big, cool 3rd episode. What did you guys think of it?
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about it before. I mean, that was probably one of the coolest things on the show up to that point when we had our last discussion on it, right? So.
I said this is where the budget was up until that moment because I wasn't happy with the CGI
think, though, that
in the first 2 episodes.
So I actually think episode 5 pretty much outdid that with the whole journey to the afterlife thing. So I
and
enjoyed that a
6.
lot
But
too.
yeah,
That's what I was waiting to get to.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
yeah,
in the beginning of the final episode when he goes back to try and free Steven, and they both get frozen. I really liked there was a nice touching moment between Mark finally realizing, look, I do need you, we need each other, right? So
All
I
right.
thought that was great.
So
And
first,
the hippo, what's her name? I love that character.
To what to
It's a
Timoet.
god.
There's some
Tarouette, I think.
Tarouette.
Timoet. I love that character. She's great.
Yeah, I love
Like, hi.
the reunion. Oh yeah, I was fired. But I love the reunion of Mark and Steven in that same sequence before they got to Tarouette, right? Because what we forget is that Mark was on this journey. Mark started the journey. We pick up the journey with him and his little brother being together, and then Steven, in my view, was actually the replacement for Mark's little brother passing away. Right. You know what I'm saying? So Mark actually built a character that he could relate to and depend on emotionally to take the place of his brother that died tragically. Right? And just to see the unbridled emotion after Mark thought he was by himself and he was reunited with Steven, to me, I think that probably sold the episode with me. Both of them seeing each other like, oh my God, it's, Mark, Steven, and them hugging, knowing it's actually the same person.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
To me, it's
I think if
Actually,
for some reason you haven't watched it, basically episodes 4 and 5, we break into what appears to be a mental institution, and
right,
we have all of the characters from the show either being patients or doctors or whatnot, and we have Mark as the main patient, and it's basically a walk through his mind, and we get to see his past, and we get to see and all of this upon his death. Go ahead, Keith. You were gonna talk.
I thought it was a beautiful way. I, it was a very well and beautiful way to show somebody's mental illness. Because he was obviously, there was obviously dual personality disorder or something,
Disassociative, right? Disassociative disorder.
Yeah,
whatever.
dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah.
Like he literally created another personality because of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I really like how they wove that story, that lifelong story, out of that. It was actually, yeah, like I think it not necessarily makes it relatable, but like it gives you as a person who doesn't experience that a little bit of a window of understanding. Like, wow, like that must be weird to feel like. Like they did it very well pictorially. I just like that part. I mean, of the whole.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
right.
interesting
Really
because
honest
they
feedback
kept
on the
you
whole.
kind of in suspense as to who the original personality base of was, even though his name was Mark, and you're like, wait, but why would the tough guy? Because normally when you see this in other shows, we saw it with like I think Typhoid Mary in the Daredevil show. If you watched season 2 of Daredevil, uh, where the person gets into a tough situation, they create a tougher person to get them out of that situation. Whereas this is
right,
the inverse. He created somebody to be happy when he did not believe he could ever be happy, which I thought was a
Cr-
fascinating twist on this kind of medical illness that we've seen in other things, not always well done, but we've slightly before.
But
Jake.
allow me to jump in real quick. So I know we're kind of starting. We bifurcated the series, the first 3 episodes, and then the last 3. I think my gripes with the first 3 really had to do with the low budget and then the feeling like this wasn't like a fully developed show. I was kind of like underwhelmed, but this back three, for first of all, the level of maturity of the topic, like we're talking about, mental health illness. The scene that struck me the most was when you realize how after his brother's death, how his mother went through her own spiral. And that scene when she walked in with the belt, I was watching with my son, my 13-year-old son. She walked in the belt, and then you see him flip, and then he takes out Steve, so you wouldn't see that, because then Steve would know how he was created. To me, that tore my heart. Like that, those last three episodes to me was like something I didn't see in a level of maturity of any of the previous Disney Plus Marvel movies, even WandaVision. Yeah, grief, blah blah blah. This was to handle. This to me, I mean, like the particularly 4 and 5, how they dealt with his near death, altered life, wherever he's at, and the story and everything that they're giving us on the screen. I was amazed that they took a chance, because this definitely is not meant for like a 12, 13-year-old kid who maybe reads Moon Knight comic. He's a character in some video games. Maybe they're going to think something totally different. Like, you did not see the Moon Knight character for 2 solid episodes up until the finale. And that's a pretty risky chance for a show to take that wants to get you invested in their Moon Knight character by giving you a adult level content, dealing with mental health, dealing with family, dealing with loss, that I didn't think I would get in a Marvel Disney Plus show.
I don't know. I think most
to me,
of them
that's
have
my
been
biggest
that.
takeaway.
I don't think most of them have been aimed at the 8 to 12-year-old. I think most of them have been aimed at, hey, these are going to be dig a little deeper here. Like you got that with the Winter Soldier was dealing with that, not as deep again.
If you just talk about
Hawkeye, Wanda,
but if you look at the TV shows, WandaVision was pretty much that wasn't geared towards kids, because there's a lot of emotional damage there with Wanda, right? And she's dealing with and what she's done to this entire town. And I agree with you, James. This was done very well in Moon Knight, and I also appreciate the development they made with Layla's character and her understanding of what Stephen and Mark were going through, and her sympathy towards them, even with cursing out Khonshu at the end and be like, after everything you've put them through, blah blah blah, right? And I was like, yeah, that's let him have it, right?
They did do the weird, almost Wonder Woman 84 thing where she was like into Steven there
like
for
her
a
outfit,
bit.
though.
That kind of did it better.
Yeah, it was
better. Yeah, no, I know, but
it was better.
But
with the swords?
Can you talk
man,
about
I like that.
if they're two distinct personalities? Does her falling for the other personality when she's married for the other personality, that gets a bit weird, especially.
No, so I have a weird question for you guys. So actually, I saw this online. Somebody brought up a great point, because you remember in episode 1, he had a date with that girl in the museum, right?
Mm-hmm.
The vegan girl.
From the gift shop. Yeah.
Now people were like, "Oh, it was Mark who asked her out because Steven didn't remember." Now, Mark was married and he loved Layla, and Steven is a vegetarian, so he wouldn't have suggested steak. So a lot of people were suggesting that Jake was the one that asked the girl out in the beginning, and neither of the other two guys didn't know. And I thought that was a real interesting
little hint to everybody.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more hints there too, though. There's a couple more hints in the first couple. That something
we need
else
to talk
was
about Jake
taking
too,
place.
though, right? So don't
we'll
forget.
get there.
We gotta talk about Jake.
Yeah, and just two things real quick. The proposed date with the chick proposed a more aggressive style guy. Like, hey, I'm gonna take you out to the best steak restaurant in town, right? But the other personality is like, hey man, I'm vegan. Say they hug these trees, and I'm vegan, by the way. So I get it. And so there is the separation of the one aggressive guy, Stone Cold Killer, and then the librarian, right? So there's that, and then two, I think what drew me in episode 4 was the creation of an emotional disorder that was theoretically fixed by creating a mental disorder, right? Like so you create another problem to fix what you thought was the more pressing problem. because you know what I'm saying. Like you create Mark. I mean, I'm sorry, you create Stephen Grant to cover up for all these wild emotions that you can't handle as a child.
And this is why people connect this character to Batman. People say this is Marvel's version of Batman because of the not that Batman on the record has a DID.
Yeah, they've never played
Batman's
Batman.
trauma created Batman.
Right.
It's a fixed moment in DC history. So
Yeah.
people look at Moon Knight, and a lot of people say this. People who read the comics, oh, this is Marvel's version of. Because in the comics, also, he's rich. He's a little different than the MCU version. But
no, you can see.
Great point about one mental disorder, not one disorder creating a totally different disorder.
All right.
Okay.
So let's jump into the afterlife. So what we see here as the character's trying to figure out what is real, what is not, his history, why he is the way he is. We actually see the Egyptian setup for the afterlife where there's a giant hippo god, and they're on this giant ship in the desert, and there's scales, and they're actually weighing both of their hearts at the same time, and the scales refuse to balance. And I thought that was well done as the characters fight for each other and kind of start to have more of an understanding that they are one, but they are different. Like that whole thing, kind of, we got similar to Loki, but different. Again, a lot of similarities back and forth here.
But it's also very interesting that the afterlife decided to judge them as two souls, and not
two
just
hearts.
one soul with
two hearts, not two souls. They literally have two separate hearts.
Souls traveling to the afterlife, right? They were not one person, though. So I know they had to judge them on their hearts, but that it was still two.
Man, it's like conjoined twins, two bodies, one organ. Right. It's just that I think Tara herself took it upon herself to use two scales and not, or as my 13-year-old son said, it was a test for them to realize that they were really one of each other, and they didn't realize it until the finale, which that was my Eric's son.
Right, and in the end, there was one heart. Like a little bit of symbolism there. They had two hearts, they were unbalanced, and then when there was just one heart between them, understanding of who they are, one person, yet two,
they reach balance.
But
Mr. Miyagi would be proud.
The visuals in that scene were all great. I think
that's where the budget came in.
That's right. The designs, the budget, everything was cool. So we want to jump over to the finale here, where we get some more budget blowing up, where we get two giant gods fighting. We get multiple costume changes, and we get.
Wait, didn't the finale come on today?
Yeah, finale came on today.
Yeah.
Last night at midnight.
Sorry, Keith.
I was right there, bro. I was waiting. If I couldn't wait, I refreshed the app like 10 times, man, waiting for episode 6, man. No lie.
But specifically, let's talk about the villain of the series, because where a lot of series have fallen down is the villains seem to not be. I don't know. Maybe that's part of the problem with the six episode series is they're not giving us fleshed out enough villains. Because I like Ethan Hawke overall. I get that he's an ex-Khonshu, whatchamacallit. He's an ex-acolyte of Khonshu. He's now an acolyte of this other god. I get
Avatar,
yeah, I get what he's doing, but like I don't care really that much about him. Like he feels still kind of very far away as a villain. Unlike a Purple Man, unlike a Wilson Fisk, you know, Killmonger. Like
he seems more like an annoyance.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So you think that guy is the villain?
He's the antagonist. Whether or not he's the
antagonist
villain,
of the
he's
series.
The antagonist of the series.
He's the one that's bringing about the other Amit. He's the one that's driving the story.
He's at the same level of the Doctor Strange of the what's his name in Doctor Strange with the purple eyes.
Dormammu?
No. Dormammu. Of what's his name with the eyes?
Caecilius, whatever his name was. Is that it?
Oh, Caecilius from the first movie.
Right.
Yes, from the Doctor Strange, the first Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah, he was the one trying to get him to Dormammu.
Right.
Yes,
He's that level.
He was the antagonist.
Mads Mikkelsen, yeah.
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen. There you go. He's that level. He's not Dormammu. He's not the god, the alligator god, but he is the antagonist who's driving the plot along, and he is kind of empty. I get, like, they were good enough to tell me all the things I needed to know that made him important to the plot, but like as a character, like I'm not getting anything out of it.
There wasn't enough episodes to really focus on him. They needed one episode before the finale to give us his story,
or like, even
what happened after Khonshu abandoned him,
or even like 2 or 3 episodes, like after the 3rd episode when they had trapped.
Just one episode.
Like, well, that's what I'm saying. Just one where placements, whatever. But
yeah, when they were trapped, the next episode should have been like you see a young version of him with the avatar of Khonshu, and then what happened, what got him to this point.
Yeah,
that he
it
feels
seems
like
to
he's
be
on the right
something
mission.
that's really driving that guy. He's just mad at Khonshu. Like, that doesn't seem like
because what that could have done was make us understand reason more why we don't like Khonshu.
Yeah.
Before we get to the finale.
So far, like,
that would have given us more reason to understand why this is not such a benevolent god.
Right.
And why the antagonist is also a victim.
Right.
Which would have made, there's so much more we could have done with one extra episode focusing on him, but,
I think so. I saw a different villain, and maybe I'm a simpleton. I feel like a simpleton right now. I think the villain was not that guy, or not the crocodile god that fought the bird god, whatever. I think that I looked at it as the villain was Jake.
Okay, we'll get to that. That's interesting. Yeah, but see, Jake wasn't involved. Jake could be more like at the end of Avengers, you see Thanos, and you're like, oh, so he was orchestrating some of this stuff for like the invasion of New York to get the Mind Stone, but he really wasn't the antagonist of the movie. It was Loki and the other, and yeah, you're coming from it from a bigger story. Like, okay, where would he go from here?
Right,
who's the true?
There was
villain?
evidence. There was evidence of this. So there was evidence to this. There was the time in the room where the guy showed up with a bandage on his nose, and looked like he had been in a fight. There were all types of hints throughout the series where the antagonist was not necessarily the one you were looking at.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There were times, and we saw it in the very beginning. I think the writers were, how smart are these viewers, right? Because the writer presented the villain in the very beginning when you saw the girl from the gift shop. She's like, "Hey, we still on for such and such," and he's like, "What?"
Yeah, but the way I see it, Freezy, though, is the main villain to me is the one that had the goal from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, and had Steve and Mark not reunited themselves without the help of Jake, then the plot would have been done. The villain would have won. Amaret would have conquered, and then that would have been it. And then, so it wouldn't have mattered if he was the true villain. He would have found a way to overcome the death of Mark and Steve, and somehow stop. But he didn't do that. He was more like behind the scenes. He was waiting to see how he would fit into the overall equation and Khonshu. So I think I'm with you. I think you're thinking big picture in the series. Who's the villain? I'm thinking of this first season.
Okay.
The villain.
Yeah, the
antagonist.
That's a real interesting move for next season, where you say, well, the true villain is you all kind of thing.
I would agree on that. Yes, I would agree that Jake will be.
There's no next season. This is a miniseries.
They said it was a miniseries in the beginning, and then Oscar Isaac said he would love to come. Yeah. When Marvel, that freaking Brinks truck rolls up to Oscar Isaac and the director.
They're making a Thor 4. They never thought they were going to make a Thor 4.
They said Thor 3 would be the last.
Thor 4.
They said James Gunn would never do Guardians 3 after he got kicked out of Marvel.
Right.
Yeah, money and popularity.
I understand. So I understand that. It's just to me these villains were. I'm sorry. The antagonist for this sixth episode series, to me, there was not enough. I didn't fear them
Yeah.
Is basically what I'm getting at. I didn't
Yeah,
feel that.
I agree.
I did, however, fear the third personality, right? Because I felt like the third personality would do just enough to tip the scales to keep. It's like the sabotage tactic. Like you don't beat yourself up, but you sabotage stuff along the way. So maybe I just looked at it differently.
Yeah,
And
well,
I
I think
understand your take on
if they wanted to do that, they could have. They gave you hints that he existed, and obviously at the very, very end, spoilers, he does exist. But I don't think there was enough there for him to be the driver of the the plot in this episode, in this series. But I'd say that's an issue with a lot of these Marvel series, these recent MCU ones. It's they do a good job with the heroes, but they whatever the antagonist is has been less than compelling most of the time.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the conflict is normally not that complicated.
Yeah, the conflict is normally you're more interested in the heroes' conflict within themselves than you
Right.
are in the
Yeah.
external conflict that they're dealing
Like
with.
WandaVision. We're more interested in Wanda battling herself than Wanda battling what's her name, that witch
Right.
Agatha,
who revealed herself.
And we're more interested
Agatha.
in the Winter Soldier and Captain America, like them coming to terms with themselves than so much that the flag smashers.
layers, depth,
right?
All those things like
It's weird. I mean, I think there could be if they put more. I wish they would put more effort into a villain that would make me more interested. That's what I would like to see on future MCU things. That's what I'm saying. All right.
You mean like a Mr. Sinister or something?
Well, yeah, any it doesn't matter who the villain is. I just wish they'd give me a little bit more because like we said, we've watched Luke Cage, we've watched Jessica Jones, and we've watched Daredevil, and they all had interesting, well, at least the first half of Luke Cage anyway. They had interesting antagonists who drew me in, who made me want to watch more about the villain as or antagonist as much as the hero. But I'm not getting that in these series, is what I'm saying.
Good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
But those are 13 episode series. Is that the difference? Is
Yeah.
it just a length thing?
That is a difference. Because I just told you they added one extra episode, make it 7. They focus on Ethan Hawke's character and why he's a victim and why Khonshu is really bad. Then by the time we get to finale with Jake and Khonshu, we're gonna be like, oh, this is what's really happening.
Right.
This son of a,
Right. And
then you anticipate that final episode more, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, and then that after credit scene where you see Khonshu basically going, it didn't matter what Mark said. I already had a trick in my bag. That even enhances that even more because you're like, oh, this dude does some bad shit. He doesn't care.
Yeah, and then you kill Ethan Hawke's character right there too. You close that loop. Like you're like, oh man, he really was fucked. He was the victim in all this shit.
Right? Yeah.
He was a pawn in a larger chess game.
All right.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of May Calamay as Layla? I thought she got the action bits at the end. I mean, she did great with the character bits, but I was surprised.
I'm assuming she did her own choreography.
Surprised how great the costume was, and they gave her a lot to do at the end as a character.
Yeah, I was actually surprised how much they kind of brought her in as the sidekick. That surprised me. So, and I thought it was done well, and she pulled it off. So,
unless anybody has anything else to say about her, because I thought she was great all around.
I thought she was great.
I liked her a lot.
Yeah, and I'm assuming she did most of her fight choreography because some of the shots looked like it was really her. I couldn't tell.
And she jumped and saved the people. She didn't. Sorry. I had some Man of Steel flashbacks at that final fight there.
We gotta go back to DC.
All right, so let's talk about the big name here, which is Oscar Isaac, because that man put this whole show on his shoulders and carried it.
He Giannis did Antetokounmpo this series.
Not in Game 2, Game 1. Game 1, Giannis.
Game 6 last year, finals.
Yeah.
That's Oscar. Look, like we talked about episode 4 or 5 and Death here, but again, that's what one actor playing two different roles, meaty roles.
Yeah, meaty roles.
That had you like, wow, this dude want all the smoke and then some.
Right.
And Marvel has had great actors throughout. They've done a great job. But let me tell you, and I'm a big fan of all of the main character actors on the TV shows. But I think Oscar Isaac is probably clearly the best actor I've seen on one of these shows.
Oh,
leader in the clubhouse. Leader in the clubhouse. Yeah. Nobody better.
For sure. Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, I would only put Wanda as Scarlet. Not Scarlet. Elizabeth Olsen. Number 2, but with a big difference between 1 and 2.
Yeah, and she was great. She carried everything she needed to do in different. But he was just.
But Oscar.
And he was doing it like second to second. It wasn't just like do a scene as this character, stop, do a scene as this character. At the end there, he was literally back and forth, where they would do the costume change, and he's going in and out of character. He does a slight facial switch. I don't know if you guys, I don't know how close you watched, but like when he would talk to himself, his eyebrows and his whole facial feature would just shift slightly from one character to the other. It was just great work.
He was definitely dynamic, and not just real quick. The fact that he could walk by something shiny, see himself, project the image of the one speaking to the other, but he's the same guy, was amazing to me. Right? The scene in the bathroom, like let me have, and I think it's episode 2 when we.
It's in the first 3 episodes. We talked. Yeah,
man.
And that's a cool trick that Marvel did. Instead of making him seem like he's talking to himself, like he's kind of making fun of DID, they show you from their point of view what it could really be for them. Like they're seeing themselves in a real world, talking to themselves.
Right.
You know, not just hearing voices in their head.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, it's definitely made it easier as a viewer. They did a great job of visualizing things that you don't normally see or can't normally see for a character like this. And I'm sure that was probably one of the harder decisions of how do we stay respectful but make this visually compelling. So,
right.
Yeah.
All right. I have one criticism here. I'm sure there's more than one criticism, but I get annoyed when I see this. It happens a lot in superhero and fantasy and action.
Big battle.
No. I love big battles. Give me a big CGI battle. Give me punching in the face. Give me lots of guys running up, getting their heads kicked in. Like, it's a comic book, man. It's an action movie. I expect that. I want that. It's part and parcel of the drama to the action. I want both. What annoys me is what I call sudden pacifist syndrome. And that's the hero who kills hundreds of people, and then when they go to kill the one villain, they suddenly go, I'm not that guy. I don't kill people like that. And you're like, dude, you just went through and you killed 500 guys with guns before you got here. Sorry, Luke Skywalker. You just killed hundreds of enslaved stormtroopers, and now you want to be a pacifist. You blew up the Death Star. Now you want to be a pacifist. Give me a fucking break. Like, it bugs me. I get it. I understand. There's a lesson to it. Blah blah blah. But sudden pacifist syndrome always gets me.
I agree. And so you kill 1,000 people, and then you get to the guy that killed 3,000 people, and you won't kill him.
That's right, because you're not that guy. You're not the villain.
You're going to jail and face justice.
Batman. I'm looking.
Yeah.
Hey,
get him out of here, coppers.
Hey, maybe I was too harsh on Man of Steel. Maybe he did the right thing.
Oh
yeah.
No sudden pacifist syndrome there for Superman. They killed all their villains.
No, you see, the difference was Superman didn't kill anybody beforehand.
Oh, so yeah, that is his first
now. Yeah, he did. He killed his whole people. He by the actions of him stopping the machine and the black hole forming, he killed the rest of his people.
They're all superpowers, man. Them landing on the planet.
Dead. Doesn't matter. They're dead superpowered beings
just in the Phantom
from his
Zone. They're
people.
Not dead. They went back to the Phantom Zone.
They were getting crushed.
Okay.
Zod even said it. You will kill our people.
Let's not get to the DC thing. All right.
He just didn't kill Earthens.
Why don't we kick some grades on this? Unless Mike, did you want to talk about before we do that? Mike, did you want to talk about the after credit scene with?
Yeah, let's do that real quick.
Yeah, so we were going to mention Jake's appearance, right? So at the end, we got Khonshu sitting in the limo with. We cut to first. We've got Ethan Hawke in a mental
Ethan
hospital.
Hawke is in a real mental hospital,
right?
Not a fictitious.
Yeah, because he still got the tattoo on.
But
his
it looks
thing.
identical. That's the scary thing.
Yeah, it was pretty close. And somebody brings him out to a limo, and he gets in the limo, and it's Khonshu sitting in the back. And, they monologue to each other for a bit. They got some dialogue going, and then Ethan Hawke is like... So it seemed to me like Ethan Hawke was like, well, you're not going to kill me, because you don't have your guy anymore. He's not going to kill me. And that's when Khonshu says, well, I've always had that other trick up my sleeve, right? And then we see Jake in the front.
Yeah, I'd like you to meet my friend Jake or something like that.
Yeah. And then Jake kills him. So
yeah, he goes, see, Mark and Steve never knew how broken they really were.
Right.
So it makes me wonder, at what point did he realize that there was a third aspect? Or did he always know there was a third aspect?
I imagine he always knew.
He always knew that there was a third personality.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
This is a weird...
You'd have to have known.
Again, this is where I tell you that this guy was the villain from the beginning. The mom was telling everybody from as soon as we saw the mom, she was telling you that Jake was the bad guy. She was trying to get to
Wait,
Jake.
are you saying that Jake existed before the creation of Steven?
No.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
No. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think so.
No,
I think
Steven, because that's a completely different shit, man. That's completely different level.
I think Steven was...
Because then maybe it was Jake who killed
his brother.
Right. Nobody killed his brother. His brother drowned. So went into the thing, right?
Yeah, his brother drowned.
Well, no, but the thing you can't say
process.
Maybe
they're not going to go that
maybe
deep.
Jake pushed him.
But I was going to say, you can't say that the little brother drowned. I know.
Yeah, if this was a Netflix show, I would say yes.
Right.
Okay.
But this is Disney Plus show.
Yeah, this is
right, because of the
not
PG
and
all that stuff.
No.
Right.
But remember, I still won't call him a villain for this season, only because they would have failed if not for Steve and Mark coming to coincide with themselves. The other guy would have won, and Ethan Hawke's character would have won. So that would have been the real villain.
So we did also have. I don't know if you guys remember. There was a scene where both of them blacked out, Mark and Steve.
Yes.
And it happened multiple times.
Yes.
They didn't know what had happened.
No, but the first time it happened where everybody knew something was different was when you thought Ethan Hawke was about to kill him.
Right.
And then he freezes, he blacks out, and all of a sudden the reverse happened. He's knocked out Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
And his girl's looking at him, Layla's looking at him like, what just happened?
What just happened? Right.
And we're like, yo, and my son was like, yo, the dope fight scene we just missed. Yeah, interesting post credits.
Now we can give some grades here. We go around the horn. James.
Woof. I want to be fair and consistent with my grading.
I wish I had looked up
far.
what my grades were for the other ones.
Yeah, I know. I know it wasn't good because the first 2 episodes was not.
Doesn't matter.
Flavorful.
Don't base it off other
as
shows.
a season.
Yes.
And totality, I'm gonna give this a B+.
Okay. Keith, I know you didn't get to finish the last episode. Do you want to hold off on a grade?
Yeah, I'm giving it I'm giving it a B, but it's almost like James was saying to me, and I mentioned this before, just like it didn't come off in the first couple episodes. It just didn't come off very. Some about the costumes, and it just looked kind of JV.
There is some CGI costuming that.
CW-ish.
It looked very kind of CW-ish meets the movies, but like he said too, though, like from the third or from the fourth
It's from fourth episode on. Yeah.
on, it was almost like it was a different product. Like I don't know if they just released the money or something, but like
released the budget.
It
The
just
check
looked like
finally cleared.
a
The
much
check
different product. So where the first part I would have probably gave a C to. I definitely can give it. I'm giving an A to the second part. So like I gotta meet in the middle for the whole season. So like about a B is where I'm at with it.
Okay. Uncle Freezy, you have a grade you could give this.
Bro, I loved it from the beginning to the end, and here's why. And so I'm gonna give this an A minus. Right, and the reason being is I don't want to jump out the window. I don't jump out the window for stuff like this because I understand there's writing teams, and I understand that that you extract certain things from the original source, and then you dress other things, then you add other things for TV, right? But as somebody that has been in comic books since the early '70s, I think the fact that they tackled a very tough issue, right? Very, very, very tough issues that are taboo almost, that we don't really want to speak to because we don't have enough information to have reasonable conversations about because we don't know enough. They tackled this issue, and I think they did a fantastic job doing it, right? At the same time, they entertained us, right? And so I'm giving it an A minus because, for one, the acting was great despite certain flaws.
I missed that.
All these small things that kind of lets you get in at your own pace, I think made a great series. Because I watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I was like, when are we gonna hurry and get to the fight scene? You know what I'm saying? So to me, I'm like, yo, I really enjoyed it. I think this is probably the best product he did in a while, and in terms of TV wise.
All right, nice,
solid,
nice. All right, Mike.
All right, so for me, it's probably going to be I'm going to give it a B plus. Great show overall. I think I'm with James. I could have probably used one or two more episodes. I would have loved to seen Ethan Hawke's character fleshed out a bit more. And I think I wouldn't have minded some more backstory of the conflict between the gods themselves. I think some of that would have been nice to know what happened back then, what's going on, why are the rest of these gods so apathetic towards everybody else? You know, where the hell were they when everything else was going on?
I have to say
that's always going to be the question for everything. Where were these guys when Thanos was wiping out half the universe?
I'd have to say that trial scene was so weak.
But there had to be a reason why they just really didn't care about stuff so much. I want to see, in the past, did something happen? You know what I mean? Just kind of little more.
I'm not even sure why they have avatars. It's like
right. Explain that. Why do you need avatars? Right? Things like that could have been explained. But other than that, I really enjoyed it, and like you guys say, Oscar Isaac carried this show. Fantastic job. So B plus for me.
Solid.
Man, you guys, I was heading on that B plus rail, just for a lot of the same reasons. Like Oscar Isaac is giving an A plus performance. It's an A plus performance from him. Even Ethan Hawke, even if his character setup is weak, he's giving a solid performance. Maybe like a B plus performance for him. I like this side, but other than like Khonshu and Layla, were there like much of any other characters to even think about? Not really. So it was a very tiny, tight cast, and yet I felt like I only knew 1.5 characters. And give me 7 or 8 episodes where you get more about Khonshu and you get more about whatever his name is, Ethan Hawke. I only know him as Ethan Hawke. And then you're gonna start pulling me in. You're gonna start making me want to know more. So I'm gonna go with B plus. Wow. It was a good series. Good series. I like Freezy said before, Marvel consistency. Like, I haven't had a D series, and I don't think I've had an A plus series. So I think for me, Wanda is still the A minus of the group. Still my favorite.
Yeah, Loki's my favorite of the group, but yeah.
See, but once again, they took a character that not a lot of people know.
Mm-hmm.
They did something good with it. They did something good with, right with the character. They got people talking and interested in the character and wanting to see more, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're always
it all started with writing good content. Start right there.
well, and
Content,
you're interested
good
in the
story.
main character, whether or not we get a great antagonist or side characters.
Right.
You're always interested in the main character. They're always giving you something, a struggle for them to handle internally and externally simultaneously. And that's what makes the Marvel consistent interesting. It has nothing to do with any of the other stuff people think it is.
Except for Hawkeye, but yeah.
Hawkeye was
Hey,
fun.
I think Kate Bishop was great.
But she wasn't supposed to be the main.
I don't know. I mean, she's the replacement, so she's kind of.
Anyway.
Yeah, Hawkeye's just a code name, right? So
that's
Hawkeye's
all,
going to retirement, so like.
That's right.
We don't have to care about Hawkeye anymore. Though he did have
should have retired at Age of Ultron.
He did have the best speech in Age of Ultron. All right.
Right.
Yeah, that's when he should have retired right there.
Right.
All right, everybody.
Retire on top, bro.
Thanks for joining me.
Mike, where can they find us?
Oh, shit. I'm trying to get out of here, and you guys.
And shout out to Uncle Freezy for being a guest on the show.
Keep dragging me back in.
Good looks, Freeze.
Yeah, man.
Very unprofessional, Chris. Come on.
Hey, wait. You guys are getting paid for this?
I am. I don't know about you. So, as usual, you can find us on the internet at Heroes Peak, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell in the corner to get notifications. And leave a comment below.
And thank you, Uncle Freezy, for joining us. Where can people find you on the internets?
So, I am the host of the Next Morning Drive every weekday morning from 9 a.m.-ish until. Also have a YouTube channel, Vibes and Stuff, where we have similar conversations about vibes and stuff. Find us on Twitter, Vibes and Stuff, Orange Tears, and you can find me in places where they generally have good food and conversation. You know? So, hey, thank y'all again for having me. Yeah, I appreciate the conversation. I learned a lot today. More so than Moon Knight and Star Wars, I learned that there are places like this where I can come be myself in a safe place and talk about the stuff that I like to talk about. So,
all right. Well, thanks.
All right.
That's what's up.
That's what we like to hear.
Appreciate you, Aunt.
Safe place.
Safe place.
yeah.
As long as you agree with our points.
Yeah. Yeah.
Echo chamber.
Echo chamber activate. All right, everybody. Now, have a good week.
Hey, Indigo made the beat.